Hello everyone. I hope you're all doing well. We're back with another Q&A video, and let me quickly thank all of you who've posted questions. All right, let's get started. Does Tommy Patera's recent comments on YouTube get him shelved, isolated in prison, or does he get a pass because he's already serving a life sentence? I really don't know the answer to that because that's a decision for the Bonanno administration. We know he's up there in age and may never get the opportunity to get out. With that said, I don't think he cares one way or the other. Personally, I think he's doing it to help his daughter earn some money. But my prediction is that you viewers will be seeing a lot more guys entering the YouTube arena, both former members and active ones as well. And for the record, no active member should be anywhere near social media, but it seems to be the new trend. Keep in mind, where there's a dollar to be made, you'll find the mob there. And soon it won't be called getting shelved, but rather a guy will be YouTubed. I know some guys, especially years ago, never held legitimate jobs. The rackets was their income, and they relied on fellow members to provide them with W-2s from no-show jobs. Is that practice still around in today's mob? And did older or newer members see you differently as someone with such a highly responsible job? As far as no-show jobs, in present day, this is no longer a thing. And during my time, and I've mentioned this before, just about everyone had legitimate jobs. Even our acting boss, Matty Madonna, went to work every day. In fact, in the beginning of my time, I was encouraged to go to work because you make yourself a larger target by not working, and more importantly, not being able to account for the way you live, such as paying for the basic things like a car, housing, food, etc., with no proof of income. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I remember when I first mentioned working a legitimate job, all the clowns came out of the woodwork and said, oh, this guy carried a lunchbox. But now they learned, so did 90% of the mob. Everyone I knew went to work. And as for the clowns, we have to excuse them because clowns will always act like clowns. They can't help themselves. When you were in the Lucchese family, were there guys in the family that never spent a day in jail during their entire mob career? Is there such a thing? Absolutely. There were a lot of guys who've never been pinched. And there was always two schools of thought on the subject. One being, a guy stood under the radar and was extremely lucky. Or the total opposite, he was suspect because he never took a pinch. Is it possible to be in that life and never have handcuffs slapped on you? Yes, but it's very rare. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that every guy who never took a pinch is doing something underhanded. Was it common practice to mislead other members, even those you were very close to, about the extent of the schemes or hustles you had going on? Many people in that life seem like they would attempt to box you out of things you brought them into, such as Ernie did with the plumbing job. There's a lot going on in that life all the time, and you may not tell everyone your business or what you have going on. And certain guys will look to pull sneaky moves to cut you out of a score or a scheme. And as for Ernie, he didn't get slick with the plumbing job. It was actually a tile job in New Jersey. One time, it was suggested that I offer Big John, my captain at the time, my end of a score, just as a sign of goodwill, with the thought being he'd never actually take it. And I'm sure by now, most of you know Big John's character. And yes, he took my entire cut. But I learned a valuable lesson, and I never offered ever again, and I also gave him the bare minimum at Christmas time. And this being another example of why he wasn't captain material. As a captain, you should want to see your guys earn, and you also get more by not being greedy. Speaking of Big John, we can segue into the next question. How does it work if Big John moved to Florida? Is he still a member of the family and expected to follow the same rules? I used to see him in the morning at the coffee shop getting coffee. Haven't seen him in about 2 months. Makes sense now that you said he moved. If a member goes to live in another state, the rules still apply. Some guys get shelved and move, but for the most part, a member needs permission to make such a move. Presently, the Lucchese family has a big presence in the state of Florida. And yes, Big John is no longer living in Staten Island, but he does come in from time to time, although he prefers staying in Florida. And while there, he visits Del Rey quite often. His new girl, who we'll call S, enjoys the restaurants there. Was there ever a time when someone's reputation completely changed after you actually got to know them? And what made you realize the reputation wasn't accurate? The answer is numerous people in their life have done things or pulled moves that ran counter to their established reputations. What I found in most instances is perceptions as opposed to reality. And still to this day, I hear things that makes me shake my head. No matter what, people will eventually reveal their true colors. And I've recently told someone, when they do, it's a blessing. It's only natural when a person does you wrong to be upset or disappointed. It's an initial reaction. But as time goes by, the bigger picture comes into focus, and we see that most betrayals are indeed blessings in disguise. It's funny, I know someone who misses that life, and I always tell them I don't miss it at all, not in the least. And it's a result of those true colors that people have shown me. On most rackets, such as credit card scams, wire fraud, and other similar scams, still a big earn for the mob. I don't believe credit cards are anymore, and some of the more recent cases did involve wire fraud charges. In the Lucchese family, whenever a power struggle within the family occurred, why did only the Brooklyn and Bronx factions seem to play a part in that, and not the Long Island, Manhattan, or New Jersey crews? Did they not attempt to exert their own control? The reason you hear the Brooklyn and Bronx factions involved in any conflict is that historically, the family's power bases were controlled by both factions. If you haven't liked this video yet, please take the time now and give it a like, as it helps with YouTube's algorithm. Anyone who'd like to show their appreciation for videos like this, or more importantly, help me to continue making them, you can donate with the Super Thanks icon down below, or through the PayPal Cash App links in the video's description. Let me quickly mention my blog, also called Sitdownnews, especially for those of you who still enjoy reading. The site can be found at sitdownnews.com and is a paid subscription. And for the final question, I don't know if it's true, but I've heard Peter Tuccio is attempting to get a compassionate release. What are the odds it's actually granted, in your opinion? Look, I really don't care to speak about this wannabe, because he's so insignificant, but for the sake of answering the question. In March of 2022, Peter Pan was sentenced to 10 years for his involvement in setting a car on fire. He didn't actually set the fire, but was present and obviously involved. It's now late 2026, and just a few years into his bid, and he's already looking for an out. According to what I heard, the Philly mob inducted him while he was out on bail, and he's in a crew led by Captain Dom Grande. I've heard this from several people. So the infamous wannabe got his wish, his dream come true. But he had to rely on a mob outside of New York, whose history includes inducting guys for money. Shall I say any more? And now Peter Pan is itching to get out so he could go back to Howard Beach as a member and parade around with his chest out. And of course, he'll express to a judge, just like a lot of guys do, that he just wants to get out so he could go to work and spend more time with his family. All bullshit. But here's a reality that Peter Pan don't seem to understand. 98% of Howard Beach can't stand him. And they know exactly what he is, an asshole. And the particular guys that he has a beef with don't give two shits about his Philly button. I really have no idea what a judge will decide. But here's my prediction. Peter Pan will never do another bid. But what he will do, without question, is appear on YouTube. Because what a lot of people don't know is before he even caught this case, he was a Facebook troll.